This is the Clark Connection Podcast, your weekly dose of inspiration and power. We'll dive deep into the stories and strategies that ignite personal growth and entrepreneurial fire. Join us as we empower you to take control, level up your leadership, and build the life you deserve. Get ready to rise, to thrive, and to finally become the leader of your own destiny. Let's go.
Welcome to the Clark Connection Podcast. It is great to be with you here today. I'm your host, Aaron Clark, aka the Coach. And today we are going to be joined by Lauren Folks Adams, who is the owner of Guarantee Maid Service. And she's going to be here to share the inside scoop on running a successful cleaning business and what it takes to keep things spotless, literally and figuratively. But before we dive in on there, I got to give a quick shout out to my sponsors. We got Bobby with the Comfy Quest LLC, Andrew with Automate Integrate Professional Services, Wayne with 7K Metals, Chris and Jess with C&J Embroidery, and Joseph with Landscape King. And look, all of their contact information, it's listed below. Make sure you give them a shout out and let them know Coach Clark sent you their way, because they do have special discounts for you. Also, if you're looking to get connected with me, on all social medias at Coach_A_Clark, or you can reach me via my website, www.coachaclark.com. And the Clark Connection Podcast is on the social medias. Connect with us. Just look up the Coach Clark Connection Podcast. We would love to connect with you in any way, shape, or form, helping you to develop your leadership and personal growth journey. Even if it's just for me to come and talk with you or at an event, anything like that, hit me up. I would love to help you on that. So now, to quickly introduce you to the star of the show, Lauren Folks Adams. Look, she got her bachelor's in theater and she minored in horticulture. She, upon graduation, then moved to Switzerland for a year and traveled around Europe for 3 months. She's now been married for 13 years and has 2 amazing boys, both 10 and 7, and 2 fur girls. And although she technically says she's been with Guarantee Maid Services 42 years, she's been back with the company 15 years as the operation manager and 10 years as the owner. So let's get connected with Lauren. All right, and welcome to the show, Lauren.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's all mine. So to kind of get things going and started, tell us a little bit more about who is Guarantee Maid Services?
So Guarantee Maid Services started in 1983 when my mother opened the company, formerly known as Guarantee Girls. And in 2019, we rebranded the company to Guarantee Maid Services. So our biggest thing is we saw the need in the community to help people have their weekends back or better lives and not have to worry about cleaning their home. And so we brought that need to Baton Rouge, and we've been here for 42 years now.
Man, that is awesome. 42 years in business is pretty impressive to think about, you know?
It is.
Yeah, I mean, how many businesses they don't do that? Like they go closed 5 years or less.
Right. Or how many businesses for that length of time do you still have the same owners?
Yeah, and that said your mom started in 83. They coming in a second and realize that until we talked. You were Guarantee Girls to making it Guarantee Maid Services. What was it that inspired that name change?
So the biggest thing was people didn't know what Guarantee Girls was. And I wanted to let everyone know exactly what we were, as well as I have 2 boys and hope that one day they might take over the company. And I wanted to be able to pass it on to them and them not have any issues because it's called Guarantee Girls. And also as well as be able to hire men.
No, and that's a good point. I mean, I don't know that people often would think about that. How important it is to actually have people easily recognize what is this business just by the name.
True. A lot of people in the Baton Rouge area, they know Guarantee, whether it's Guarantee Restoration or Guarantee Girls or Guarantee Maid Services. So the Guarantee is definitely known, but what's behind it is what I want people to know what we are. We're Guarantee Maid Services. So we're going to come in and we're going to clean your home. But maid services could mean so much more than just cleaning your home. It could be laundry, it could be windows, it could be pressure washing. So having a name like Guarantee Maid Services doesn't restrict it to only one thing as well.
And you kind of answered that. I was going to ask, what all services do you provide to people?
So we provide anything except for cooking your meal, because I don't want to take the risk of possibly burning your house down. But if that does happen, you can always call my brother at Guarantee Restoration.
I was about to say, and that's where Guarantee Restoration comes in. Man,
Okay.
they're running a racket here. I like it, Lauren.
Well, I mean, you know how we do. Keep it in the family, right?
No, that's good. Oh, I wouldn't have thought about that. I mean, you could start the Guarantee Cooking Services. Chefs, Guarantee Chefs.
Right.
I'll say, I want 5% of whatever y'all make off of that one, because I helped you develop it.
Okay, thank you. I'll let my boys start that in their generation.
Oh, and I mean, that could, who knows where that could go. I like that. Now I'm sure you come across some stuff. So you're working in people's houses. So yeah, what was the craziest cleanup mess you had?
So about 8 or 9 years ago, we had a 600 square feet, 1 bedroom, 1 bath apartment, and the apartment complex they evicted the person out. And so when they called us, we didn't see it before we went to it. So I went in knowing it was going to be bad, but not knowing how bad. I went in with 4 cleaners, and there were pathways to different areas of the apartment. Pathways like junk all on the floor to a certain area,
Ooh.
right? But the best part was we got into the kitchen and we opened one of the drawers, and there were like chicken wings in there. So like
In the drawer.
in the drawer, like chicken wings that had taken a bite or two out and then put in the drawer. So I was starting on the kitchen, and I'd take it out and I'd be like, "Hey, Diane, you want some chicken? Ew, get it away.
I like, what type of junk was on the floor?
Boxes, like stuff you might get in the mail and you unwrap it, food, garbage, all kinds of. It was really gross. Really
Oh
gross.
man.
So like I said, 600 square feet apartment. It took 4 people 4 hours. So we're talking about 16 man hours. A 600 square foot apartment.
Man.
So what I tell my salesperson now is, if someone ever calls and it's a really small apartment and they say, "Oh, it's bad," and you think, "Oh, it's not going to take that long," always think back to that certain situation where it could take that long, because you never know. We don't go out and look at the houses before we give you a quote. We do all our quoting over the phone. So it's kind of like a blind inspection.
Yeah, I was about to say, I mean, I think something like that, I would want to know, like an actual, hey, what does it look like? 'Cause, oof. Yeah.
Right.
4
So that's when we
hours.
decided if we get a call like that again, we're going to look at it.
Yeah, I don't blame you at all. Now, how long does it typically take? So, like, if I call you and say, "All right, Lauren, I want you to come over and clean my house," about how long?
So it depends on what type of cleaning. So we have what we call a basic cleaning, and then we have what we call a deep cleaning. So a deep cleaning is going to be something where the first time we're coming in and we're getting your house ready to go on a maintenance clean. So what we're doing is we're spending more time in areas because we're hand wiping versus using a duster with polish, which is what we're going to do on our maintenance cleans. So we come in, we do a deep clean first. which usually takes about double the time it does for a reoccurring service. And then after that deep clean, then we come back on a weekly or every other week or once a month occurrence, and we maintain it. So we're still catching all those same areas that we hit on that first cleaning, but we're using a duster with polish instead of hand wiping them all.
And so it kind of, if I were just wanting the basic clean.
So you want a basic clean, and let's say your house is 1,500 to 2,000 square feet.
Yeah.
I would estimate on average it would take 2 to 2.5 hours, but it just kind of depends. So our biggest question that we ask you is to rate your house on a scale of 1 to 5. 1 being the best, 5 being the worst. And then we kind of give you some scenarios of that 1 and some scenarios of that 5, so you can kind of gauge your home the best way you can. And we try and make you feel comfortable, because one thing that we notice is people start to get embarrassed when you're talking about the dirtiness of your home. But guess what? We wouldn't be in business if your house was clean, right? Because people want us to clean dirty houses, and that's what we tell our cleaners all the time. Like, we can't complain about our work because that's why we have a job. We're cleaning dirty houses. Now, not all houses are as dirty as every house kind of thing. Some houses are cleaner than others, but ultimately we're cleaning dirty houses.
Yeah, they're not all as bad as that 600 square foot apartment.
Right.
Yeah. And it's like you said, it's helping people get their weekends back. It's when your crew is on, like if you were coming to my house, would you, they want it, like, are the homeowners actually home, or is it like, hey, we left y'all a key, it's here? Like, how does that work?
So it just depends on the homeowner, whatever you feel comfortable with. So we have a couple different options. You can be there while we're cleaning, which is not a problem. We just ask when we go into the room with you if it's something that we might disturb you. If it's something that you could switch rooms, that would be great. Or we're going to say, is it okay for us to clean in this room so we don't disturb you? Or is it something that, like you said, you want to leave a key under a mat and we lock up when finished? We do have a lot of customers that have keys on file. In those situations, we check them out to the cleaner on the day of service, and then they get checked back in the day of. On those keys, they only have a key tag with a number on it. So God forbid something were to happen to the key and it get lost or thrown away, something along those lines, it has no association to the customer. Yeah,
so it wouldn't say this is Lauren Folks Adams' home.
And this is the address of Lauren Folks Adams. No, key tag's not that big.
I was going to say, you're not pulling one of these big ones like a luggage tag on it.
Right. It's not a name tag. Hello, my name is,
What?
Shenandoah Avenue. Who?
Lauren Folks Adams.
Slim Shady.
We're going to show, I now know what I'm doing. I'm going to be looking for those keys on the ground. With all the labels on it.
With the numbers.
And say it'll be like, what's those puzzles where like a number represents a letter or what a symbol? It'll be like that. I haven't figured it out. I mean, there's how many homes in the Baton Rouge area? I mean, I'm just going to try them all.
And who knows if the key is for that area. I love scavenger hunts.
It'll be fun. It'll be a blast.
Right.
I'll call you to come join me with it.
Okay, great.
No, that'll be cool. And so, yeah, I didn't realize that y'all even you mentioned the pressure washing. So is that how, is it not just limited to indoors? It's outdoors as well, y'all?
Correct. Okay. So outdoors, we're going to do pressure washing. We definitely have a lot of different contacts that we can put you in touch with if it's something that we don't do. So For instance, one of your sponsors, Landscape King, we've had a couple customers that have talked about several plants in their yards that have died because of the cold or whatever the situation is. And we definitely recommend Landscape King because we know offhand how great of a job they do. And so we want to share that with our customers. So anytime, that's our above and beyond is you ask us a question, we're going to get you an answer for it, and we're going to try and perform what it is that you're asking for as well, to a certain extent.
Yeah, absolutely. And definitely, yeah, if y'all are needing anything with that landscape issue, hit Joseph up. He's phenomenal.
Yes,
phenomenal.
I definitely. He does my yard as well.
Yeah, I'll say I have a Levi to do my yard. It's amazing, as they get bigger, they need money and all sorts of other stuff. You just get them to do the yard.
Yeah, mine aren't that age yet.
But they could get there.
Oh, they'll get there.
Actually, they will get there. They will.
Yeah.
Choice words. And guys, if you're enjoying this so far, make sure that you give a like, subscribe, follow. Look, just click all that right there below. This is going to continue to help us bring on great guests like Lauren. So definitely do that. And so kind of wanted to switch a little bit more right here, Lauren. And so I know you said you got several different crews. That can be quite the task. How do you go about organizing and leading in so many different personalities?
So one thing that I've learned over my years as a manager and owner is you can't please everyone. And as much as me especially be a people pleaser, it doesn't happen all the time. Right? You are running a company and the company is in your best interest, unfortunately, over employees because the company is what pays your bills. And so how do I manage different personality types? I try to custom my management to each person in particular because I feel like management is not just a blank statement, right? That you can use on everyone, but there is rules, I guess you could say, that I have to stick with across the board, no matter what personality type that you are.
Right. Well, you got expectations.
Right.
You're not. If you hired me, and you would not want to hire me for your maid services. But I mean, if you had me sweeping floors, and you're like, okay, seriously, we've got a standard, Aaron. You missed a lot.
Right. And we definitely try and let people know our standards. So it's not something like, oh, I didn't know I had to do that, or I didn't know it had to be that way. We don't want to set you up for failure. We want to set you up for success.
Right. And I think you said a key thing that's for all managers, all owners. It doesn't matter what level of leadership you are in this. You can't please everybody.
Right.
And so that... how do I want to ask this one? I guess, do you have like an example of like the first time that you had to get over that? Like, was that what you would say was your biggest obstacle moving into that leadership role?
It is. So I went from employee to employer over a weekend. I went from the DA's office dealing with child support to owner/manager of Guarantee Girls. And I said with that switch that I wanted to treat my employees the way my bosses never treated me, right? I want to treat them like they're my friend, but on the same hand, have boundaries. And with that, that's how I had to learn that I can't please everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you do some cool stuff with your people. I know you were sharing that with us at B&I, all the cool different things that you do. As far as, so like, what are some examples of things that you do for your people?
So I love to bake, and for every birthday and anniversary, I'm going to make you whatever you want. So I have some of my cleaners. I can think of two in particular. They're more of a salty than a sweet. So for one of them, she always likes that I do Mexican cornbread for her birthday. The other one, she'll do chips and dip or what's the other thing that there's another salty type thing that I do, but then I can think of another one who loves when I make her pineapple upside down cake, right? So I like to share with people in their happy occasions. And so for every birthday, you do get a cake or, whatever it is that you want, along with the small present. And the same for your anniversary, because I want you to know that we appreciate you, whether it's your birthday or whether it's your anniversary. So that's a really big thing that we love to do, as well as we want to reward you for good performance, right? So the first thing we do with that is every Wednesday at our training meetings, we have a huge dry erase board, and we have you write your name, and then you write the customers that gave you 4 out of 4 stars. On a scale of 1 to 4, 4 being the highest, customers that gave you 4 stars over the past 7 days. And then what we do at the start of every meeting is we call that out in front of everyone. So you are being publicly praised in front of your peers, which is not the norm, right? If anything, you're being publicly humiliated, possibly in front of your peers. But I want to make it to where my employees love coming to work, and they love it because one of the biggest things we do is tell them how great of a job that they're doing. And so, we say, okay, Aaron had Miss Smith and Miss Goldstein and Miss Folks. Great job, Aaron. Whoop, whoop. And then you'll hear everybody else in the room. Whoop, whoop. So it's not just me. It's everyone that's praising you, right? And it really makes you feel good inside, and it makes you want to definitely come to those Wednesday meetings.
Yeah, and just thinking about it, that was one, as you said, it's what gets focused on gets fixed. Or if you're constantly, oh, y'all are doing a bad job, well, man, I don't know that I want to do this anymore. But if, like you're saying, I'm gonna want to get praised, so I'm gonna go do a job. I want my 4-star review, so everybody's give me a little whoop whoop whenever through.
Right. Another favorite of mine is Employee Appreciation Day was a couple weeks ago. So I did brown bag lunches for all my employees and wrote each one a handwritten note, just thanking them for all their hard work and letting them know that I appreciate them.
Yeah, that's really cool. Mm-hmm. And so I would make the assumption, just kind of hearing all this, turnover is not high at
No. Now it's not. Our longest employee has been with us 41 years.
Wow.
Yes.
41 years. That's cool.
She's in her 80s, Miss Virginia, and she has 2 clients that she still cleans.
I hadn't made it 48 years, so thinking being somewhere that long is just awesome whenever you think about it.
Right.
And it makes sense, they're showing that, hey, through your leadership and everything that you do, that they're going to want to stay. They're going to want to work hard. They're going to want to make sure that we don't get Lauren upset with us, or we don't want to disappoint her.
Right.
Yeah, and that's a lot of cool ideas that you're throwing out there as far as, the employee appreciation and helping people out with that.
Right. Yeah, it is really big. I like to look at it like that's what differentiates us between the other maid services here in town, because there are a lot, right? And who am I to say that I'm the best in town, whether that's my cleaning or as a employee? But I know that I do give back to my employees, and I treat them as if they were family. And to me, that's what I want from an employer. So those are the type of employees that I want working for me.
Yeah, and I'm sure, because I'm sure somebody out there is thinking this, that sometimes that does come back to bite you. But I can see it being so much more rewarding and fruitful than that, where it actually comes back to get you.
Right. Right. Of course, any situation like that, there's always going to be the exception to the rule. There's going to be things that happen that make you put other rules into place because you don't want that to happen again, right? So I look at it like you live and you learn, and you create new rules for the next time.
Right, and that's what you do. Sometimes you win, sometimes you learn.
Right. Part of learning, right? And growing up.
Absolutely. And so, what would you say then? You said the people pleasing was kind of one of the first big things. What would you say is kind of y'all's biggest struggle right now? What is it that you would see that right now with things going on?
So our biggest struggle right now is people don't know what the economy is going to do. So what I tell my cleaners is we have to make it to where if someone loses their job, we're not the first thing to go. You know, they maybe look at, I'm not going to cut the maid service, but maybe I'll cut the yard guy because I can mow my own grass, but I really don't want to dust my house, right? And so it's going that above and beyond for our customers that we want to make sure to do. So in the economy that we're currently in, not to say that it's a sinkhole, but that we're currently in, that if something like that does happen to one of our customers, we're on the list to stay instead of not on the list.
Right. And I mean, the economy's always going to be up and down, up and down, up and down.
Right.
And yeah, I could see that being, I didn't even think about that as that, yeah, I lost my job. Well, they got to go.
Right, exactly.
Now, as far as now, like, are most of your clients, are they regular? Like, do they get like weekly cleaning, monthly cleaning, bi-monthly? Or do you just have some that like, hey, I just had a party this weekend. Can y'all come clean up?
So we have it all.
Right.
You know, we have those one-time cleans. We have whether that's they had the party or they're having a party. We have the customers that have reoccurring service. The majority of our customers are bi-weekly customers, so every other week we're cleaning their home. That seems to work best for most people in regards to how often we're coming, as well as price meeting their budget. You know, of course, you get weekly service, it's going to be more expensive than if you get twice a month, right? So it's our biggest thing is we want to customize your service to meet your needs as well as meet possibly your financial needs too, if need be.
Yeah, and that kind of makes sense as you were saying it. That because I mean I wouldn't want to clean everything all the time, but I guess then it changes person to person, thing to thing, what they're wanting to do. I'm assuming like you might come in and always clean the kitchen, but might not touch the living room every time or do like the baseboards every time.
So we kind of call it a la carte. So that's one thing that differs from us from other maid services is we do have a lot of customers who have areas in their homes that they might not use on a regular occurrence. So it might be something like what we call a freshen up. So what a freshen up is light dusting and floors, right? So I talk about we have a formal dining room. We have an older home and we have a formal dining room. Well, the only time that room gets used is Thanksgiving Day once a year, right? And a lot of people have a room like that. So when I do have my house cleaned, I tell them, don't worry about dusting. All I want you to do is the floors, right? So they're in and out of that room, which means ultimately it's going to take them less time cleaning the entire home because I have certain areas in my home where it's like that. So in those situations, we can cut your price down because we're not doing as much work in a formal dining room as we are in a master bedroom.
Right. Okay. That makes sense.
Or, you know, you might have the customer who's like, just skip it. And then when the holidays come around, let's catch it then.
Okay. And so a lot just really depends on each person. So it really is, like you said, it's different. It would be different for me versus somebody else.
Right, exactly.
And so that's pretty cool. And I love, 42 years in business. I have somebody who's been with you 41 years. that's extremely cool.
Right.
And then all the cool little stuff that you got going on with your crew and your different ways to reward them and praise them. Now, that's really awesome, all the stuff that you do.
Thank you.
Now, do you ever miss a birthday, or have you missed like a birthday or anniversary or something like that?
Okay, yes, I am human. So there's one cleaner in particular. She's been with me 8 or 9 years. I never can remember, but her birthday is on July 1st. And what I do is I print a report from our payroll company that shows me everyone's birthday and anniversary, and I usually do it on July 1st. Well, every time I do it, I say to myself, dang it, I missed it again. Well, I've kind of gotten it in my brain. So in June, like a week before July 1st is when I do my report, so I don't miss her birthday. And she's noticed it because the last 2 years I haven't forgotten. And I say to her ahead of her birthday, hey, Rachel, what do you want me to make for your birthday? And she's like, I was wondering if you were going to remember this year.
Yeah, that's fun. I could see where that would be, where you catch it and you July. Oh man,
Right. Always catch it, but I might be a few days late.
yeah, and that one's a tough one too because I mean, well, you got the 4th coming up, so it's. I'm sure that was always busy too for y'all. Yeah, but
Yes, the 4th of July is very busy for us, but over the last 3 years, we've kind of made it to where because we've had a lot more customers lately who will skip their 4th of July visits. So we've made it optional for our cleaners. Whether they want to work or they don't want to work, we want to give them that option instead of just saying we're all working on the 4th of July. Because we've had so many customers that canceled or skipped their appointments for that particular day, we leave it up to the cleaner if they want to work. Now, granted, we're asking them 2-3 weeks before the actual holiday so that we can start contacting our customers, letting them know, hey, Susie's not working this day, but we're going to send Dominique in her place, so we can give the customers a heads up. But the option of having that day off or not having that day off is now an option to our employees.
yeah, and so that makes sense. If a lot of people are wanting to skip or don't want, and you're able to do that, and that would make sense. But I could see the holidays being real good for you, for your business. With people wanting to get, you can't let anybody see how dirty your house is.
Right, exactly. Yes. Thanksgiving through the end of the year is our busiest time of year.
Yeah, because it's got me like, let me make sure nobody can see all of my stuff in here. Lauren might be judging me for this.
Totally judging.
I say I'll just scoot up closer so I take up all the space. Now, we talked about the craziest thing you may have walked in on. Now, what's kind of been like the coolest? And I wouldn't want you to be like, oh yeah, so I was in this celebrity's house, and I wouldn't want, but like, what been some of the coolest
stuff? I got it. As soon as you said it, I was like, ooh, I got it. So we had a customer who owned several fast food restaurants here in town, and he had a room. Think of it like an enclosed porch, and but it was like his game room per se, and he had a stuffed lion.
Oh, cool.
He had, I forget what that game is called, but it's got that long table, and you take the silver thing from one side to the other, and it's like salt all over the table. So he had one of those. Yes, skeet. Yes, whatever it's called, that's it. He had one of those in there. Then he had on the wall was like a zebra head. Like he went on all these African safaris, and that's what the room looked like. But so I took a picture, and I'm like leaning up against the lion, like just chilling.
I was about to say that would be some stuff. He comes over and the lion's on the floor. Like just.
Excuse me, ma'am. You broke my lion.
That would be kind of cool. I'm sure you've seen all sorts of cool and different things. And that it's necessary services that people need in the area, and somebody who does a good job at it.
Right.
Now, kind of shifting, kind of as we're getting close to the end of it, one of the things that I believe is that all leaders are readers, but not all readers are leaders. And so, what would be one book that you would recommend to anybody who's interested in leadership, being an owner, anything like that?
So when I made that transition, like I talked about before, from employee to employer over a weekend, my husband bought me the book 1 Minute Manager. And, that was 15 years ago. And I still go back to that book and I reference it all the time. I actually just referenced it today with my operations manager. So it talks about the sandwich approach. Are you familiar with that?
Yep.
Compliment, critique, compliment. And I would definitely say that is the number one thing that I do as a leader, as well as remember specifically from that book.
Yeah, I was about to say, and some people may be familiar with the Oreo, but the sandwich, yeah, that's a really good book. I have really enjoyed reading that one. That was one I read more recent for the first time. Real good book.
Yeah, and it's a quick read too.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't even remember how many, but it's not very big, guys. So that's definitely a good one. If you hadn't read that one, go read that one.
Right.
And then what about maybe something currently that you're reading or just finished reading?
Gotcha. So growing up, I remember when Princess Diana died, and that, not to say it was a big event in my life, but I do remember how much of an event it was in the world, right? And so Netflix has The Crown, and I watched The Crown and I loved it, which is, I feel, Princess Diana's story, as well as King Charles. And then when I finished that, I saw that Prince Harry had come out with a autobiography. So I am currently listening to that, as I'd much prefer to listen in the car than read at night and fall asleep.
Yeah. And I was about to say, and that's one cool thing with your job too, that you can all just put the earbuds in and be listening to something while y'all are cleaning around the house or something like that. I didn't even think about that. So you get to do that a lot.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, that's really cool. Like, that's one that I put on. What I have is 7 keys to personal development, and one of them is positive audio. So reading the audiobooks or listening to audiobooks, because you don't really read and whatever, but listening to audiobooks and positive, encouraging stuff. Real cool, real cool.
Right.
And one that I like to ask, Lauren, that I like to ask everybody: what is one question that I should have asked you that maybe I didn't ask you?
I would maybe say, if you could move back to Europe, how quickly would you do it?
All right. So if you could move back to Europe, how quickly?
Yesterday.
And I was saying, what was it about Europe? What that made you say, I would rather go there than be here?
Europe just has such a relaxing atmosphere. It's not the go, 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 which is what I'm used to here, especially as a business owner. You're constantly having to do something. It's that free mindset. It's the beauty of all the surroundings. I don't want to say the architecture, because sometimes it's just the field around you, right? The wildflowers, the animals, different things like that. The transportation there is amazing. I love it. I love it. I can't wait. My dream is to spend 2 months in Europe every summer, and I'm on my way there.
Absolutely. Now, and when you were there, you were in Switzerland, right?
Correct. Yes,
So
for
what
a
was
year
that
I was
like?
in Switzerland. It was amazing. And so I worked for two families as an au pair. And one family I lived with them, and the other family lived behind them. So Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, I worked for the family I lived with, and the other family I worked for them on Tuesday, Thursdays. Now, what I did at the time, you could buy a rail pass. And so 7 p.m. or later, and all of the weekend, you could travel on the rail system throughout Europe for free. So what I would do is I'd take off on Saturday, because Saturdays I only worked half a day, and Friday when I got off, I'd take an 8 p.m. train and go to some other city for the weekend. And I'd do that at least 2 to 3 times a month.
That's cool. Now,
Yes.
what exactly is an au pair?
So an au pair is a live-in nanny. So you don't get paid hardly anything. I got paid $500 a month, and I probably worked 40 to 50 hours a week. But, I had a place to live, and they fed me. And 2 weeks after being there, I got to go to the south of France. And for Christmas, I got to go ski on the Swiss Alps. So you can't really complain. And it was just a wonderful experience for me.
Yeah, sound pretty cool. Living at somebody else's house, letting them feed you. Man, I'm in. Where do I go?
Right. So I had the basement. So you say that it's like I could walk around naked if I wanted to. Not that I did, but I mean, it was all to myself. I had a whole floor all to myself.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'm digging it. That does sound fun. Well,
Yes.
Lauren, if any of the fine listeners wanted to reach out, get in touch with Guarantee Maid Services, how do they reach you?
So I just ask that you give us a call at our office at 225-756-3900, or you can go to our website at guaranteemaidservices.com. And you'll see my beautiful picture with
Yes.
the goat, which it's called Middle Goat.
And so
I did
that
not
is,
name it.
you didn't name it, but
No, I did not.
but all of that, guys, I'm going to put all of her contact information down below in the show notes, in the description. And that, Lauren, I appreciate you hopping on. This has been awesome. You've been great. We'll
Thanks for having me.
definitely have to do this again.
Yes, for sure.
What a phenomenal episode. Wasn't Lauren great? I don't know about you, but I really enjoyed learning about all the different services and things that she offers that makes her unique and stand out from other people. And have a few key takeaways that I want to share with you guys. And if you're watching on YouTube or Spotify, this is up on the screen. And, one of the things she talked about was customer service being key. And she also then talked about, and I thought this was cool, the importance of having a recognizable business name. Letting people know exactly who it is and what you do through your business name. She then talked about managing. She went and had different tailored techniques. So she took a different approach for each personality type that she manages. You can't treat two different people the exact same way. You can hold them to the same level of accountability and have those high standards and expectations, but really working with two different people is two different things. She talked about then how leadership involves setting clear expectations and boundaries, and that positive reinforcement can significantly boost employee motivation and morale. I thought it was really cool, the lot of different things that Lauren talked about that she does to help give her people excitement, encouragement, and really get them coming back. And then I thought the bottom line, they treat people how you want to be treated. Lauren saw, hey, this is how I was treated as an employee. I don't want to be treated that way. I'm going to treat my people this way. Phenomenal episode and story of how she was doing things. And so in closing, guys, that if you're looking for leadership or personal growth training, it could be for you, your team, or event, reach out to me. That I'd love to be able to help you on your journey and to inspire you. Look, all of my contact list is listed below. It's also on the screen. You can reach me on all social media at coach_A_Clark via my website, www.coachaclark.com, or on socials, the Coach Clark Connection Podcast. And remember, guys, you don't need to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. So keep leading, keep growing, and keep innovating. Until next time, stay inspired and connected, and I will see you on the next episode of the Clark Connection Podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Clark Connection Podcast, where my goal is to add value to you. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow the show. You can also connect with me via my website, coachaclark.com, or on all socials at coach_A_Clark. The links are in the description. Huge thanks to my sponsors, Wayne with 7K Metals, Bobby with the Comfy Quest LLC, Andrew with Automate Integrate Professional Services, Joseph with Landscape King, and Chris and Jess with C&J Embroidery. We look forward to bringing you more great content. See you next week.